It's the great shedding of 2025. This is going to be a year unlike anything we've ever seen before. Not only is it the year of the wood snake, which is extraordinarily powerful for renewal, rebirth, regeneration, the new shedding the old, it's also astrologically something we haven't seen in 3,000 years. And numerologically, it's a 9-year. That's the ending of a 9-year cycle. This is potent, big, beautiful, wild, and I think we can really do some amazing things in our lives and for ourselves, personally, our health, our relationships, also creating in our lives is really big this year. We can do some really amazing things this year when we align with the energy of the snake. And that's what I want to do in this conversation. I want to help us all to align with the energy of the snake, the energy of the wood snake. So the snake, in a year of the snake, it is collectively an energy that we're sitting in, we're swimming in. It's a beneficial, helpful, useful Shakti. You could call it a wisdom energy. It's like a Shakti. It's a wisdom energy. It's got certain gifts to it. Gifts that we can all tap into. You don't have to be some mystic living in a monastery to tap into some of these gifts. It literally switches on intelligences in you when you tap into it. And that's what this conversation is about. So if you've never done anything like this before, absolutely fine. I very much encourage you to see what happens. Come in with a curious mind. And it's a curious mind around what is it that can switch on in me? What deeper levels of intuition can switch on in me as a result of this conversation? So snake, serpent energy. One of the gifts it brings us, one of the things it switches on in us is deeper intuitive feels, deeper connection to a deeper place of intuition itself. Like you just know what you know and you don't know how you know it. Like gut feels, right? Deep levels of intuition. That's one thing that the snake brings. I'll give you a couple other things here just so you can kind of start to open the doors, to that like curiosity around like, wow, what's here for me? What's here for me in this conversation? One is this depth of intuition. Two, it gets a little mystical here, a little bit in the mystery realms, like mystery school realms, is hidden mysteries are in the snake. We know that. We know somewhere deep in our bones, deep in our beings, we know that the serpent holds deep hidden mysteries. Some of those deep hidden mysteries have been forbidden. We can think about some of the mythology out there, right? Some of the mythology with Eve, the Garden of Eden, the snake, forbidden mysteries. So it's going to be interesting to me who's going to make it through this video. Who of us in the world is going to tap into serpent energy, like really embrace serpent energy, and who's going to continue to push it away? Because this year is going to be a serpent year. It is. It is. And that's not just Chinese astrology. It's not just the Chinese zodiac. It's not just that. It's also Western astrology. The amount of planets that are shifting we have not seen for 3,000 years. It's also a 9-year. A 9-year. There's a mysticism to a 9-year. Hidden mysteries in a 9-year. So maybe that's just a reflective question to feel into for yourself. Just think about serpent energy, snake energy. What's your relationship to it? I'll share a little story with you because I love this story. It's one of like the greatest stories I've ever seen as like a tangible, physical, real world example. I was buying a house and we were at the inspection process. It was a house down in like southern Arizona. I find that to be just so magnificently sacred land. It is so alive. It is so juicy to me. I know it's the desert, but it's so juicy to me. And I found this property and it felt so feminine, deep hidden mysteries. I thought I could sit here and write books and books and books and books. I could create. Oh my gosh, this is like magnificent. there was a whole slew of beautiful, amazing men working on this house when I was there that day. And it was doing the inspections, going through what does the well look like, what does the roof look like, you know, all that stuff before you like officially buy a house. And one of the inspectors opens up the outside electrical panel, and in it was a snake coiled up around a lot of the electrical components and electrocuted, like it had died. It had been dead for a while. And this man, big, burly, he was a motorcycle rider, right? Like Harley Davidson rider, like big, burly, strong, solid dude. This dude jumps, goes running, kind of screaming a little bit, right? There were certain sounds coming out of his mouth that I am sure not very many people have heard coming out of this man's mouth. So he goes running and he's like, oh my God. He grabs a couple other dudes who are around the house, right? There's multiple contractors. And he's like, you guys got to come see this. All of these guys are over there like, ah, 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 ah. Isn't that interesting? The deep hidden depths of the serpent energy. What is held there? And that's this year. The deep hidden depths of the serpent energy. So I share that little story with you to give you something tangible to sink your teeth into around what is your relationship to the serpent? What is your relationship to the snake? I know my dad terrified of snakes. I thought my dad was like the strongest man on the planet, terrified of snakes. He's also terrified of certain aspects of deep hidden mysteries. And let's just also put it this way. The serpent, in many traditions, represents Kundalini. The serpent represents the feminine awakening. The feminine awakening, the feminine spiritual awakening, the embodied awakening of the feminine, right? Shakti, the serpent energy that rises up the base of the spine. Feel in for yourself how that might or might not relate to Year of the Snake. I know they are two very different traditions, two very different modalities. But if you dive into symbolism of snake in Chinese zodiac tradition, you will see it's intuition. It's deeper mysteries. You will see it's earthy. That's the feminine, right? We say Mother Earth, Father Sky. It's interesting. It's just an interesting thing to reflect on for yourself. All right. So that first kind of question is, what is your relationship currently to snake? To snake, to snake, to snake. What is it? That's just a really simple doorway. And can you start to maybe cultivate at least a more synergistic or maybe a level of respect for snake in a way that you maybe hadn't before? Maybe instead of having so much fear, it changes to curiosity. I know this sounds really stupid. Like, Sabrina, come on. Like, how the hell is my relationship to seeing a physical snake at all linked to my relationship to being able to embody my deeper intuition? A lot. It's one of those like sneaky little doorways in. So it's a sneaky little doorway in. All right, let's keep going. You can dive into that or rewind that and listen to that again if it's helpful while you're journaling or, feeling into what's really resonating for you. So let's move on. I want to go into the next kind of piece of this. So if snake is deep, hidden wisdom, and then we kind of like wove in a couple of other traditions or other things to sort of feel into. Deep, hidden wisdom, hidden mysteries. Snake also, as we know by the start of this conversation, is shedding. It's the obvious one. It's the one that we're going to hear everybody talking about. It's the shedding, the shedding, the shedding. But I want to take us a little bit deeper into that. I want to take us a little bit further into the shedding. Holding the mysteries, the snake holds the mysteries of the renewal process. Snake holds the mysteries of the birth-death process. The mysteries of the birth-death process. The mysteries of that. Snake also holds, feel into this. Now, this is a gift that I certainly am all in for cultivating for myself this year, right? Like, let me cultivate this snake-like wisdom in myself, please. Is an ease of moving out of the old. That is one of the greatest things that we can get out of this conversation. One of the greatest things we can meditate on. One of the greatest things we can hold our attention to in this year ahead. An ease of moving out of the old. An ease in deeper depths. Because sometimes we say on a very surface level, I'm up for change. I see this all the time in my retreats. I see this all the time in workshops. Yes, I want change. Yes, I want transformation. And then it starts happening and we freak the fuck out, right? Like when it actually starts happening, there was a deeper part of self that was like, oh my God, I don't feel safe. The stability of the known is gone. That's huge for this year. That's huge. It's huge. My relationship to easefully moving out of the old. It's a snake. Just keep seeing that symbology of the snake easefully moves out of its skin. It just easefully moves out of its skin. It just rolls away, right? There we go. It is one of the greatest things to be meditating on whenever you're hitting challenging situations in 2025, because pretty much the majority of the challenging situations that we're going to be hitting, that you're going to be hitting in 25, has to do with change, has to do with transformation, has to do with shedding the old, stepping into the new. The stuff that is really, really going to trigger us, it's really going to challenge us, is that from multiple levels, we are shedding the old and moving into the new. And shedding the old and moving into the new brings innately with it, organically, automatically, instability. Think about this. I say these words often when I'm in a process of deep transformation. I say these words often like, the old is gone. It doesn't work anymore, but the new isn't here yet. And we're in this uncomfortable void place, this uncomfortable, like my old ways don't work or support or serve, or it's not even switched on, but the new hasn't set in. I like thinking of this analogy. It's my iPhone when it's going through an upgrade, which is essentially what we're doing repeatedly in 2025, over and 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 over again in 2025, is that we're getting software upgrades, spiritual upgrades, energy upgrades, physical upgrades, DNA upgrades. That's all happening this year in faster ways, more profound, bigger ways than it has in the past, bigger ways. Our consciousness is much more accessible, and things that are coming in, I mean, you can look at solar flares, you can look at the astrology, you can look at a whole lot of different lineups, but the things that are coming in unprecedented amounts. And we are psychically in a very different place where we're less dense, so we're much more impacted by things. It's able to permeate us to much deeper, more powerful ways. So this shedding the old, this coming into a relationship where I'm easefully moving out of the old through the void into the new. So let's just complete this little loop around the phone software upgrade, your software upgrade. It's to really hone for us uniquely what supports this shutting down of the phone or the system or the thought pattern or the wiring or the intuitive way you access things or whatever it is, shutting down, being in that void where the phone is off and then it switches on, and now you have to figure out how to like do a text message because the whole thing is completely different. And that's what's going to be happening to us on many levels, many layers throughout the whole year of 2025. Isn't this wild? So let me just come back to this can be joyful. It can be. Yes, it's the great shedding. Yes, we're rocket launching into the new. in ways we've never felt or seen before. Things are speeding up like it is nobody's business. Many of the planets are moving into fire and air signs. This is going to be so fast in 2025. So fast, faster than we've ever felt it. The quickening, the great quickening. Yes, all of that's happening. But there's a way that we can come into right relationship with transformation. That's something that I'm going to just offer up as something to reflect on or deepen into, meditate on, coming into right relationship with transformation. Right relationship. What are the supports? What is it that supports me to really, I like these words, wipe the slate clean? Really wipe the slate clean. Cut the cords, we could say. Let go of attachments. If you're working with archetypal energy, Dhumavati is one of the most potent, powerful Shaktis to work with for letting go, wiping the slate clean. If you've never worked with Dhumavati, I just did a free activation with her. I did. You can find a link to that below. It's about 45 minutes. There's 10 embodiment practices in there, along with 3 archetypal activations, all in 45 minutes. I have no idea how that happened. I have no idea. That definitely wasn't me. That was definitely me just like praying my butt off and letting it flow through, because I can't. I like little Sabrina can't do something like that. If I get out of the way, though, sometimes miraculous things can happen. And I feel like that 45-minute activation, some miraculous things happen that are far beyond what I, Sabrina, could ever create. And it's yours. It's a gift. It's a gift to our community. It's kind of born out of our mystery school, that we're a container that we're sitting in and rewilding. And it's just a gift. We haven't done anything like anything big and free and open to all for a little while. So I created that the other day for you. So please go get the Dhumavati activation. It is really, 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 really good for shedding. Really good. It's one of the best archetypal energies that I can think of to support the 2025 shedding. It is the best one for the shedding aspect of 2025. So you can find that below. Okay, so let's move on. Let's talk a little bit more about Year of the Snake and some more of these themes. So we've talked about hidden mysteries. We've talked about this shedding, this mostly the letting go aspect of the shedding. I want to talk a little bit about the creation in a moment, but I do want to park that and talk about intuition. So the snake, the Year of the Snake, is really about following deep intuition. Deep intuition. Now, feel for yourself. How do you, in who you are now, right? Because it's new. Our wiring is changing. And my sense is that for a lot of us in 2025, how you access your deep intuition might feel different. It might look a little bit different. Maybe you used to see things, but now you have a gnosis of things. Maybe you used to hear words, but now you see instead. So I'm going to encourage all of us, myself included, to be really open to that changing. How the still small voice within us is speaking to us. There's an aspect that Year of the Snake brings about with wisdom, but it's intuitive wisdom. It's a wisdom that is not intellect, it's not logic, it's not ration, it's not reason. It is an intuitive wisdom. Feel into that intuitive wisdom. You just know what you know, but you don't know how you know it. How do you cultivate that? How do you deepen into that? How do you grow that? Because that is what we are really, really going to want to do. We are really going to want to do that. That is going to be a really big piece for us to be very discerning about our highest path forward. Making decisions in 2025, we want to come from a different place. We want the discerning decisions, your direction forward, your path forward, any questions you have. Is this relationship over? Should I move? Should I get a new job? those questions should be taken to deep intuition. Wise self. This is the snake. This is the snake. The snake activates wise self. A year of the snake points to that your greatest decisions should come from wise self. Now, if you've never done any practice to tap into deep intuition and wise self, go do that Dhumavati free activation. Go do that, because we do a practice. One of the 10 embodiment practices in there is tapping into wise self. I do it like this because it's like wise elder, like the medicine woman in me is who I tap, that crone wisdom. I just know. I see past, present, future. I just know. Deep intuition, deep intuition. That might be the most powerful activation for you in that free series. It might be that wisdom aspect for you instead of Dhumavati, right? The real support for the shedding, the releasing, the cutting the cords. It might be this tapping into intuition, cultivating that relationship to deep intuition, to wise self. Really powerful. To remember and to work with in Year of the Snake. I'll give you a tiny little practice. Once you do that activation, right, that free activation with the wise self, do that every day while you're brushing your teeth. 2 minutes. It's super quick, right? 2 minutes. You just like stand in wise self. All right, I want to move on. So we've gone through 3 different themes, right, of Year of the Snake. Now I want to move into a 4th theme with Year of the Snake, and it's about power. We gotta talk. If we're going into a Year of the Snake, we need to talk about power. So let me just feel for a quick moment around power and the shift in power. I'm feeling for like my doorway in to accessing snake power. So it's a bit of a weaving of everything that we've already spoken about, right? If you were going to start to access snake power, serpent power, right? It's coming from hidden depths. Hidden depths is where serpent power comes from. Just feel that, your hidden depths. What are the hidden depths? Your hidden depths. There's an enormous amount of power in us that we've not yet tapped into. You can call it ancient primordial power. You could call it sexual power. You could call it life force power. You could call there's an enormous amount of power that we have yet to tap into. So hidden power. This is a snake year. It's a snake year. Hidden power, hidden potentials. Where is that? Right? How alive is your sexuality? That's really good for a year of renewal. It's really good for a year of regeneration. It points to sexuality. Now, people aren't going to be talking about that all that much, but it points to life force. If this is a regenerative year, well, what is the thing that creates the life? It has to do with our sexuality. It has to do with sexual energy. How alive, how awake, how bright does that fire burn? How bright does it? And that doesn't mean that you're having sex with someone else. It doesn't mean that you have super crazy sexcapades, and that's how it's expressing in you. But how alive is that in you? This is going to support us in the Year of the Snake in enormous ways because it will fuel the rejuvenation. It will fuel, right? Because when there's a shedding. It takes a lot of energy. This shedding, this renewal, this rejuvenation, this moving into the new. So many of us, maybe drop a comment if you hear this all the time or you've been feeling this, so many of us, I see this on social media all the time, all over the place, is where's the new? Like, I thought we were in the new. Where's the new earth? Where's the new? Like, what's going on with the new? Where's the new? It's here. It's here. Or why isn't this happening? Why isn't this taking place in the physical? I felt the energetic shift. I felt the new earth shift. I felt the 5D shift. I feel it happening. I feel this great shedding of 2025. But why isn't it happening in the physical? Because we haven't fueled it enough for it to make manifest in the physical. Snake's going to help us do that. Snake's earthy. Snake literally crawls along the earth. I mean, it doesn't really get a whole lot earthier than that. Of course, like moles and things, they dig into the earth, they live in the earth. It's pretty damn earthy. But snakes, they don't even have legs to keep them up. Like their bellies literally move along the earth. This is going to be interesting. So how do you tap into more, let's not even call it sexual energy because we have so much baggage around that. Let's call it life force energy, renewal energy, rejuvenation energy. It's all the same thing, right? It's just like how we then express it outside of ourselves or how we judge it or like tweak it around or flavor it. But it's just life force energy. How do you open up to more? How do you move your body into a state that can bring more life force energy through? This is massive in Year of the Snake. This is like Kundalini awakening. This is like life force awakening. This is like divine feminine awakening in you. Guess what? That free activation I did with Dhumavati, it's in there too. We wake up to it with golden threads. You'll get to this golden threads of more and more and more and more and more Shakti waking up in you, more and more and more and more life force. It's a fountain of youth because we literally call it the fountain of youth practice because you're tapping into vitality. You're tapping into life force energy itself. You're tapping into your own, right? Your own fuel. So fuel to fuel your great transformation, to fuel the great shedding of 2025, to fuel it. You want to be alive. You want to have a lot of vitality. You want to have a lot of juice. You want to have a lot of energy to fuel your great transformation in 2025. Isn't this beautiful? And the snake gives us that. Year of the Snake gives us that. It gives us that. I'm in the midst of a mystery school. This is our last mystery school working with the 36 core archetypes. And I love what's on offer. I love the energetics that are on offer for 2025 for the great awakening that's happening in this mystery school. I love for the great switching on of our intelligences, the switching on of the new you, the new human in you, right? The new, switching on all of these aspects of self. If you're watching this video before the 31st of January, this mystery school, the doors are still open. It will close on the 31st, and that's it. This is the only time that I'm running this IX. If you've heard me talk about IX, Rewilding with the Archetypes, a year-long journey into the mysteries of 36 archetypal energies, many of them are very snake-like energies. Medusa, that's serpent. Talk about how beautiful is that to be doing Hygeia, Kundalini goddess of miraculous healing and awakening, extraordinarily serpent-like. I don't want to dive into that. I want to focus us on this, but if you really want to do something big, if you really want to support this Year of the Snake, this great shedding, this great transformation that we're in, and you want a container to do it in that's filled with Shakti, you want live retreats with me once a month, you want live wisdom circles with my team also in addition to that once a month, plus all of these 36 archetypal activations and journeys and lectures and master classes, join me in Mystery School. Join me. It's our only Mystery School of 2025. That's the only time we'll do this also. As a mystery school, this is it. The doors are closing. Okay, that happens on the 31st of January, just after the Chinese New Year, just after we go into Year of the Snake. Yeah. All right. So let's feel back into themes. Let's feel into themes. So this theme was the fuel, right? If this theme of Year of the Snake, it's the fuel. Like we need to fuel the great transformation. We want to be able to fuel our renewal so we don't get stuck, like mid-process, stuck, like you have half the skin shed. You've powered down the cell phone, but you don't have enough power to power on the cell phone, so you get stuck in the void. This all goes back to that conversation around transformation can be ease-filled. That's what Snake's teaching us. That's what Year of the Snake, what we're able to tap into is that change and transformation can be so beautiful, so pleasurable and joyful. It's like ecstatic birth, ecstatic. It's a real thing. And I know some of you here have witnessed that, have experienced that for yourselves. I know it because I've heard y'all talking in the rewilding community. It's beautiful. That's that, right? We can see it as, oh my God, that's going to be so painful, so bad, so hard. Or it can be ecstatic birth, like it is orgasmic. Then I'm essentially being ripped apart and birthing a watermelon out of something that's the size of like a lemon. I don't know if that's a very good analogy, but you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. It can be this most orgasmic, pleasurable thing. And Snake teaches us that. Not only does Snake teach us that this can be ease-filled, Snake also teaches us that this is part of your evolution. So let's go into the next theme. I'm going to weave a little bit off of Snake, but this very much has to do with the renewal, the shedding of the old. So still, of course, this is Snake energy, but I want to weave in a little bit more around this. So it's the shedding of the old, it's the renewal, it's the death for rebirth cycles, right? Which is enormous astrologically. But this is an extraordinarily karmic year. Extraordinarily karmic year. Of course, whenever we're talking about shedding the skin, shedding the old, releasing the old, we're talking about extraordinary karma. I heard this the other day, something along the lines of the things that we have tucked away, unprocessed events in our lives, unprocessed things are constantly pinging reality to put events and situations together in our lives that take us into the unprocessed stuff. Isn't that a cool way of saying that? Isn't that a cool way of looking at that? It's like karmically, the things that we have yet to see, or the things that we have yet to deal with, yet to process, yet to move through, the things that still hold a huge emotional charge. That's a really good way of putting that. The things that still hold a huge emotional charge. Those are unprocessed. That's a really good signpost for unprocessed stuff. It holds a lot of emotional charge, hard to talk about. It's shame, embarrassment. You don't want to talk about it. You don't want it to be public, right? It holds a big emotional charge. Those sorts of things are constantly speaking to reality. Reality is constantly speaking to them and going like, all right, cool. We're going to create an event. We're going to create a situation so that she can karmically move through this. So she can drop this karmic baggage. We're going to do that for her. That's what we're going to do in a Snake year. That's what we're going to do in a 9-year numerology. It's a 9-year. That's what we're going to do when, 85 planets are transiting over the karmic anaretic degree of 29 degrees into 0 degrees. That's all these planetary signs, outer planets changing signs. They're moving, and they're moving past this incredible karmic point, endings for beginnings, but it's very, very karmic. It's very, very karmic. So it's coming up, right? Beautifully and perfectly. These events are going to be designed for us, for humanity, for the collective. It's not just us individually. I focus on us individually. That's my jam, right? And that's what I'm here for, right? It's you. It's you personally experiencing this. And so, if this was going to be a year of really dropping karmic baggage, how do you support yourself in that? If this was going to be a year of that unprocessed stuff is going to be brought up, because that's essentially what transformation is about. That's essentially what transformation is about. It's so easy for us to talk about the great shedding of 2025. So easy. Shed the snake skin, transform, do the thing. But then when it comes up from the depths, Snake year, hidden depths, hidden mysteries. Some of the greatest hidden mysteries in you reside underneath that unprocessed stuff. Some of the greatest gifts in you reside under the deepest wounds, the deepest traumas. I'm sorry to say that, it's coming up. But we could look at this. We could look at this with excitement. Like, we could. I'll share a personal story. Having worked in the shadow realms for a very long time, facilitating shadow work for a very long time, right? archetypal energies in the dark goddess territory, deep transformation, deep liberation from the biggest traumas, the deepest wounding in our system, right? I used to walk into that territory in my 20s and I used to go like, oh, I'm triggered. Oh, and I'd be all embarrassed and ashamed. Like, I'm triggered. I feel crunchy. Like, ugh. And now, just feel this reframe. Now, it's like, I know there's some deep transformation on the way. Like, oh my gosh, I know that I'm about to see something about myself that I haven't been able to see before. Oh my gosh, I know that I'm about to move some stuff that's going to open some stuff that's going to bring about some gifts and it's going to unlock more of my life force. It's going to unlock more of my true full self. So what if you were to reframe even the challenging, crunchy transformation, shedding, death for rebirth stuff that's coming? What if we were to reframe it and go, I get to. Here's one that I like using. I get to drop the karmic baggage. I get to drop ancestral baggage that my mom didn't have an opportunity to drop. My grandmother certainly didn't have an opportunity to. I get it. I get to. I have these amazing tools. I have these amazing opportunities in my life. Us having this conversation, to me, it's an amazing opportunity. We get to sit in this space. We get to sit in this field of transformation, this field of snake mysteries, of snake wisdom. We get to sit in this field together. And my grandma didn't get to do that. She didn't get to do that. But we get to access these things. We get to join a mystery school if we're called to join a mystery school. We get to go do that Dhumavati activation, that wise self shamanic medicine woman activation if we want to. Again, that's the free one. You should really go do that. I love that thing. I don't always come out of something going like, wow, I don't even know how that happened. But I came out of that one going, wow, I don't know how that happened. I have no idea how that happened. A woman who's been at Rewilding for 4 years now. 4 years now. She's actually in this mystery school that I was talking about, IX, Rewilding with the Archetypes. And she goes, I've been Rewilding for 4 years. I've never had a journey like that. That was completely new to me. I've never had a journey like that in Rewilding. Something's different. And it was just created a week ago. We're standing in different energy. The sacred technologies are more accessible. We're standing in this transformative energy where I've talked to a lot of elders who've been holding spaces, deep transformative spaces, deep spiritual awakening spaces for decades, 50 years. And all of them agree. And me in my 20 years get to, speak to this. I don't have 50, but I have 20. And I agree with this wholeheartedly, is the rate at which we can awaken and heal something and shift something and change something is astronomically faster than it used to be. Astronomically faster. So we talked about this quickening a little bit. The quickening of spiritual awakening is also happening in 2025. The quickening of healing, the quickening of transformation, the quickening of moving through something. And so we can get excited about that. Even these deep, challenging, shedding the old, right? Renewal, rebirth, death for rebirth, letting go. We can get excited for that as it's quicker. We can move through it. And keeping that symbolism again in our minds of the snake, just easefully moving out of the old. It's the same. Easefully moving out of the old. All right. Last theme that I want to go into here, which I alluded to earlier, is this. No, actually, there's two more themes. I want to save that one for the very end because it's what happens after the shedding. So I want to save that one. I want to talk specifically about wood. I think we would be doing a disservice to this journey if we didn't talk about wood, because it's wood. It's year of the wood snake. So what does wood add into all of these serpent mysteries, the serpent energy, this snake energy, these wisdoms, these intuitions that we get to tap into this year? Wood, interestingly and beautifully, adds this alive stability to this transformation. it's almost like the earthy feel of snake, how I was saying, it's like, it's earthy. Now just feel into like the stability of wood, but wood is also like, it's living, breathing. It's not metal, like it's wood. And so you kind of feel into this like porous, right? Wood. So a couple of words, and I want to just grab this sheet so I can bring them to you because I wrote these down and I like these. Feel into this for wood flavoring. Everything that we've spoken about. Stability, balance, steady transformation. Stability of our new intuition. A balance between our outer and inner world. I think Year of the Snake, we didn't go into all the themes, right? Because we'd be here for weeks and weeks. But another theme is going inward. There's this inward, right? When we talk about like the deeper depths of our intuition, that's a going inward. But wood snake brings this real beautiful balance. And there's also this strategy, which I love. So it's like, if you think about how a snake moves through the world, it can be like really like slow and steady. That's kind of an energy to sort of feel into for wood snake, like slow and steady, and then real strategic discernment, whoosh, strike, right? Feel into that slow and steady, right? Steady transformation, steady growth, stable intuition, quick strategy strike, right? Strategy is a really good word around snake. I think one other thing I'll weave in here before going into the final theme for this year is I mentioned money at the start. I think money and relationships, all areas of our life are going to be affected. But if you start to weave in other traditions and you feel into like the energetics of Scorpio, right? Like Scorpio or 8th house in Western astrology, you start to kind of also feel the overlap in a Year of the Snake, and you start to feel into deeper hidden mysteries. You start to feel into relationship, deeper intimacy. You start to feel into more hidden depths, and you start to feel into money. Money is residing in there also. Money is residing in there also. Power. I think I mentioned this earlier. Let's come back to this to close this loop on power too. So where does the snake access the snake's power? Right? Where does the snake access the snake's power? And I do remember mentioning that it was from a deeper depth, and all of these different themes are weaving together. The snake accesses its power, right? Snake accesses its power from Earth. We can just say Earth. Snake accesses its power from deeper intuitions, from a primordial, like an ancient primordial. If any of you have worked with that archetype, she will very much be coming into mystery school, by the way. The ancient primordial feminine, but it is this unwavering, unexhaustible amount of aliveness, of juice, of life force, and of ancient wisdom. So if we start to really feel into where does snake access its power from, you can go from deep hidden mysteries, ancient wisdom, ancient primordial. You don't have to say feminine. Feminine is not, it can mess us up really strongly too, but it's like an embodied earthy. We want to go deep into our guts, deep into our lower wisdom centers. Like, what's the wisdom in the depths? What's the wisdom in the depths? What's the wisdom in the depths? This is where snake accesses power from. This is deep transformation, deep, profound transformation, deep, profound awakening from the roots up, deep, profound awakening from the mysteries and the wisdom held in the depths. That's where snake accesses power from. Pretty beautiful, huh? Okay, let's talk about this final theme. Final theme. Actually, I do want to share one more thing about the depths and going into one's own depths. And if you haven't journeyed into your own underworld, into your own depths, into the power held in the ground of your being, like the ground of your being that can really support us in 2025, that's also a part of that free activation I talked about with Dhumavati. This is with Persephone. Remember I said that there were 3 archetypal activations and 10 embodiment practices in 45 minutes. Like, what the hell? I can't believe that this came through me in some weird way. I have no idea. I must have been having a good day that day and really got out of the stinking way. But that Persephone journey in that free activation takes you deep, 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 deep down into your depths, down into your depths, down into your depths, down into your depths, down into your depths. And that is an empowerment journey. And that is a way of tapping into the snake's, the serpent's power and how that's shifting in 2025 for us. All right, final piece. The renewal piece, the rejuvenation piece. So after the shedding happens, after the shedding happens, after the shedding happens. And to me, 2025, it's not just like all of 2025 is just shedding and then 2026 comes and then suddenly it's the new. It's going to be constant and continual. Constant and continual. It's like the snake, the Ouroboros, the snake eating its own tail. That's a mystery held in this year too. That's a wisdom held in this year. That's a really powerful practice to do also, is just the spinning of that ancient symbolism, the snake eating its own tail, because it's constant renewal, constant rejuvenation, constant ending for beginning, ending for beginning, ending for beginning. It starts to open up a mystery of reality in us, right? And so if we let go of linear, logical, human trained brain, where we think 2025 year of the snake, oh, it's just all shedding and then the beginning. No, it's the shedding, the birth, the shedding, the birth, the ending, the beginning, the ending, the beginning, the ending, the beginning. And it's like simultaneously as something ends, something else begins. That point where something ends and something begins, that is one of the craziest, wildest, most potent points that we can work with. Right there, that 0 point. That point, that is an access point to extreme mysteries and extreme power. If you have never worked in that point, you might want to feel into it, right? It might not be something that sings to you, but that is going to be coming online more and more and more and more as we move into 2025 and we look at the years ahead. Is that point, that access point for an extraordinary amount of creation energy. And you can work with creation energy. You can wield creation energy. This is coming more and more online. You know how like Kundalini awakening used to be like the big hot thing, and now it's kind of like, yeah, everyone's kind of done that. And if you haven't done that, 0 fucking judgment, but go do that workshop, because that's kind of a Kundalini awakening. That workshop, the free workshop. This is the free thing I'm talking about. This whole thing that I'm talking about is the free thing. It's a free workshop that came out of Mystery School. Obviously, Mystery School is not free, right? That's a year-long, intense journey. That was not free. But this workshop is free. Go do it. Go do it. Send all your friends there, all your family there. Definitely send your partners there, right? Like your lovers. They should really go do this one. But this point, we also in that workshop do Bhuvaneshwari. She taps us into creation. On that note, thank you so much for being here. It is a great pleasure, a great honor. I would love to see you in the comments. I am always in the comments hanging out. My team is there witnessing absolutely everything when I'm not able to get there. I would love for you to dive into that workshop. No email needed. It's just free. There's a link to it. Go watch it, but treat it like it's a sacred journey into awakening your serpent wisdom, your year of the snake magic, deeper intuitions, everything that we spoke about today in regards to that. Go do that. Go journey into that. I would go do that right now. Set aside 45 minutes. Go do those activations, because that's only going to be up until the 31st. January 31st, that comes down. As do the doors to Mystery School close for good. So if either of those things to you, my gosh, I would love to just share that with you, be there with you. Thank you so much for being here. Huge love to you for 2025.